Howdy everyone, this is Grakef. So, got a lunch for you today. We're going to go through and do the 3 satellite missions we have, and hopefully a 4th mission as well. And all goes good. I'll go through the build of this rocket in just a bit, but we're here on the launch pad, and we're going to go ahead and get launched off. We'll be using MechJeb for the launch, but we'll be using the classic ascent profile. In testing of trying to get this thing up, I don't know if there is a problem with MechJeb, something going on here, but it just takes way too aggressive of a liftoff, and that causes it to explode. So exploding no good. So let's go ahead and get going up. So we'll engage autopilot and fire off. This is what my current path looks like. I don't know if that's correct. It just is what I have set. So I'll join you guys back when we get to the 2nd stage. Okay, we're on the 2nd stage. So I'm going to take over control from here. We'll go ahead and go to our ascent guidance. We'll go ahead and disengage that. Turn on stability control. Then we're going to go surface, and then immediately hit current. No, that wasn't fast enough. We'll go down. Want about 15 to 20 degrees is where it was at. And then we'll just keep an eye on our Apple apps here as we approach that 100. The contract calls for 300 by 45 degrees inclination. So as we approach that 300, we may need to tilt down a little bit more, or we may not. So looks like we've got a little bit of science here. We'll go ahead and grab that. Oh, we are actually tilting down too much. We were losing some altitude there. So let's pull that back up, and you'll see our Apple apps is rising again. So alright, we're going to hold this till the end of our engines, and then we'll get into the last stage if we need it. Okay. Yep, I overdid it a little bit. I should have kept just a little bit lower profile coming up. We ended up just a little low on our periaps. But that's okay. We have our 3rd stage, and that's what it's here for. So we'll go ahead and use that. You should be able to do it with just these 2 stages. But we have a 3rd stage, so we'll go ahead and use it. So we're going to go out to the map. You'll notice I got a nice blue line here. And we'll probably run into the same problem I had earlier. Yeah, maybe. Getting pretty busy up here with all these orbits. I'm going to add a maneuver node right there. Just to keep me kind of to eyeball it. And then we'll... actually, we'll see how well this will work. We will warp to here. Nope, that way overshot. Which is okay. Not the end of the world. We'll go ahead and get lined back up on prograde. I'll actually turn this off and use SCS and say prograde. I found that that works just a little bit better. We should still be okay. We had to wait for communications to come back. A problem I've had with this launch is that the apoapse ends up here, and you don't pick up communications until you get in line here with Australia. Alright, as soon as we get lined up with our prograde, we'll go ahead and start rotating here. And fire our third and final stage. There it goes. That should get everything all checkmarked, and so then we just got to wait for that to complete. Alright, I'll meet you back in the VAB where we'll go over this rocket. Alright, welcome to the VAB. What we got here is I've got an Explorer, and I got the wrong part there, because I thought the Explorer 1 had a temperature probe, and it doesn't have a barometer, and I need a thermometer. So I'll put that right here. And now we've got a barometer and a thermometer for our weather station mission. The other two missions, one required a navstat payload, and then we need a communication satellite payload for this other one. So we'll go ahead and add that in. So, and also we need to add a solar cell. I forgot that in my testing, so we'll go ahead and put a few solar panels here. Yeah, we'll just do the 4. And that, so this should work for the ComStat payload. Payload 1 requires the solar panels, and then the ComStat payload, and the weather one requires that you have a thermometer and a barometer. So with this one rocket you can do 3, and hopefully I'm going to do 4 with a little bit of modification to this. So this is the first stage here. Just have this portion here to hold the payload, and that is followed up by the Aerojet. At the time of creating this, I didn't have any other solid rocket boosters, and the Aerojet is more than sufficient. I'm using using some RCS to get everything going in the correct and proper direction, using those RCS quads, and then that's followed by a decoupler. This particular piece is just filler transition piece to go from the 300 millimeter down to the 800 millimeter, and I just used tank 2 because I had already had a tank 2 piece for that. So then we come down to our Able avionics, and then we get into our new tanks. I have unlocked tank 3, and I have this one set up here with our pretty standard layout. I made it a little bigger, knowing that I'm very close to unlocking the next set of engines, and so that's going to give me even more thrust, and so I want to make sure that that tank 3 was able to handle the power of the next upper stage. Got an inner stage, followed by the guidance unit early 2 meters. Been using the 1 meter, and in preparation for, again, bigger, heavier launches, I'm using the 2 meter now. That's followed up by the tank 3 balloon tanks, and I have that in the tooled currently for 2 meters and by 11 meters, followed up by our little boat tail here tank of 2 meters by 3 meters, and then a boat tail and the LR89. So this is the the current setup I have for this particular rocket, and it's good for 3 contracts. And I think if we do a little bit of modification on this, we can get that 4th contract as well, which is returned safely from orbit. So, yeah. Big thing I found is I wanted to tooling costs for these tanks were almost 34,000, and they were a majority of that tooling cost for the balloon tanks for this rocket. I think they were about half the tooling cost. And so I looked at tank 3. It does cause a significant cut in your delta V. So when I was looking here at atmospheric, it went from about 9,000 as it currently is to about 8,500. So that was a pretty steep hit, and I felt that it was the cost was worth it, especially considering we are recuperating money quickly by completing these missions. So I'll meet you at the mission control, and we'll go over those missions, and then we'll maybe launch off 1 or 2 more rockets. Let's get these all queued up. There we go. We got 2 more to do, and then if I need, I'll come in here and queue up a 3rd with the modifications. Okay, so the missions we're going to be doing, we already did the archive here, and see if it's just right one end or the other. So we did this one, the nav satellite payload, which requires 100 units. I had 160 because it was just as easy to build it for all 3 parameters, and then we went through that launch and met those needs. When we come back here, we have first communication satellite. This is probably going to be the hardest of all of them, but definitely doable. I tested it several times in simulation to make sure we could do it, and yeah, we can. So 850 periaps, followed by the 4,500 kilometer apoaps. Atmospheric analysis. This one is as easy, or maybe possibly easier than the navstat payload one, because we can just set our inclination to 28.6, and the apoaps is not very high at all. So that one will be easy to do as well. And looks like we opened up another one here, and that is 60 units of navstat payload and destination Earth. Inclination is a little bit steeper than the last one we did. Periaps above 800 kilometers, and then apoaps below 1,000. Ooh, that's so this is kind of the opposite of this first communication one, where it says it has to be above. This one is going to be a little bit tighter tuning required for that. So, okay, well, we'll go ahead and get us a rocket ready, and then we'll come back to mission control and grab those, and we'll be off. Grakef here with the Jeb 1. So I got my satellite communication launched, and yeah, it just frustrations upon frustrations. I updated test flight, and basically now whenever I launch an LR-89, it fails within about 20 seconds. So I'm not sure how to fix it. I put a post on Reddit. If you see it and you maybe have an answer for my woes, let me know. But it's bugs like this that's making this not fun anymore. And that's kind of one of the big things for me with streaming, is that I want things to be fun. This is not the end of this series, but it's just, here's another one. Bill's in there, and this brakes are on, and it's slowly sliding down the runway. It's just little things like this. So, anyways, you know, on the runway down here, I can't do any flights. Real KSC is not working anymore, I don't think. Yeah, so it's just every time I want to do shoot these things for you guys, but it's becoming a frustrating experience, and I've got to get a more stable environment and something that doesn't take 10 minutes to load. So in the future, definitely I was enjoying Sky Factory 4, so we'll definitely see some of that as for some filler episodes. I'll continue to work on making this stable, but for the time now being, these episodes are to be determined. I'll probably start another Kerbal modded. Probably won't be based around real solar system. But it will be Kerbal modded and just something fun and enjoyable to do. Probably won't be as educational, probably a little bit more antics and stuff. So, yeah, that's kind of the idea. So, anyways, this is Grakef. Hope you're having a great day, and see you later.